I think that's my new spot.
My boyfriend goes there.
What's that?
My boyfriend goes there.
Yeah?
Yeah. We should go to him.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it after this video. So we're going to solve the triangle ABC. So remember that the capital letters represent the side lengths, and then the lowercase letters represent the angles. Now, your textbook said alpha, beta, and all that stuff, but we'll just say lowercase a, lowercase b, lowercase c. I don't care. And actually, I got that backwards. The capital letters represents the angles, right? So this is like the measure of angle A, the measure of angle B, and the measure of angle C. Well, C is 90 degrees. That's what this little red square means. And A is labeled as 42 degrees. And we know, because it's a right triangle, that A and B are complementary, so we would say B is 90 minus 42. What's that, 48? Okay. So now we're going to use SOHCAHTOA to figure out what the side lengths are. Now when I do that, we also know that lowercase b is 16 because the side is across from the angle. So this is b, this is lowercase a, and the hypotenuse will always be c. Okay? So let's label b as 16. Now B is actually adjacent to the angle 42. Now I like to use the given information because if I made a mathematical error, let's say I accidentally put 58 degrees in for angle B, or 38. Like, let's say I made a mathematical error. When I start to plug this stuff in the calculator, I'm going to plug in an error. So I always like to go with the stuff that's given to me. So if I think about that, this is the adjacent. So the adjacent is cosine. So I could say something like cosine of 42 degrees is equal to the adjacent length. Remember, it's the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So it would be 16 over C. Now mathematically, or algebraically, what I want to do is multiply both sides by C. These C's will cancel, and I'll get C times cosine of 42 degrees is equal to 16. And then I'm going to divide by cosine of 42 degrees on both sides. Now remember, cosine of 42 degrees is actually a number. Okay? So then what I do is I pull out my handy dandy calculator, which will take a second to load. Make sure that my calculator is in degree mode, and then I'll say 16 divided by cosine of 42. And that'll give me a decimal sum, and I'll kind of round it, and, you know, all the other stuff. So go to mode, it's in radian, so I'm going to change that to degrees. So I can quit. And then I'm going to say 16 divided by cosine of 42 degrees. And I get a decimal, 21.53. That's good enough for me. So 21.53 approximately. So to let me know, and anybody that's reading this know, that that's a decimal approximation, I'm going to do this little squiggly line. Then from there I can find a couple of ways. A is actually the opposite. So again, I want to use what's given to me. Well, I know that tangent of theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Or tangent of 42 is equal to the opposite, which is A, over the adjacent, which is 16. Okay. Multiply both sides by 16. These 16s cancel, and I get A equals 16 times tangent of 42. That's easy. I can plug that in a calculator. 16 times tangent. You got to remember that tangent of 42 is a number. You don't know what it is off the top of your head, but that's a number. 14.4. We'll say 14.41. How about that? Approximately. Now remember, a squared plus b squared should approximate to c squared. So I can double check this real quick by just plugging it in the calculator. I'm going to say 14.41 squared plus b squared, which is 16 squared. That's going to give me this number, 463. And then I'm going to take the square root of that. And it's about 21.53. So I know I did all my math right. Does that make sense? So when it says solve a triangle, that means you need to find all three angles and all three sides. Okay? Any questions on that? Now some of the questions on the test will say find a specific angle. That's fine. But when it says solve the triangle, that means all three sides, all three angles. Okay?